is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
The eroding democracy of the Philippines under the Marcos administration is seen as a sign of an authoritarian rule, according to human rights lawyer attorney Arnedo Valera. PBBM's shift from his promises prompted him to withdraw his support, as the current government is showing signs of authoritarianism for curtailing free speech and the right to peaceful assembly. Could social media ignite a new people power in the Philippines? A former presidential political advisor believes so. According to attorney Jing Paras, the internet serves as a tool to air the growing discontent among Filipinos, especially amid the controversies and the shifting policies of the Marcos administration. On the water cannon incident in the South China Sea, an analyst suggested that the incident could have been staged to divert the public's attention from the PDEA leaks controversy linking PBBM to illegal drugs. In other news, nuclear watchdog's chief Rafael Grossi is set to visit Iran amid concerns about the country's uranium enrichment and nuclear weapons program. And tech giant Microsoft is set to establish a new data center in Thailand. I am Kristel Guangco. Newsline World starts now. First in our news, Senate Committee on Agriculture Chair Cynthia Villar disagrees with the Department of Agriculture and the House of the Representatives' call to amend the rice tariffication law. She expresses concern that amending it could result in corruption, as she said, or she authored the said law. Here's Valdemir de Gracia with a report.
Bisan hindi nila naintindihan nagsasalita sila.
Senator Cynthia Villar has spoken out against the recent attempt to amend the Rice Tariffication Law, or RTL. In the House of Representatives, House Speaker Martin Romualdez wants to amend the law to restore the power of the National Food Authority to sell rice. Recently, Department of Agriculture Undersecretary Christopher Morales also urged lawmakers to give NFA the power to import rice under certain conditions. However, the specific conditions were not mentioned.
Ang mandate nila sa rice tariffication law na hindi nila pwede ipagbili yung bigas nila sa trader. Kailangan ipagbili nila sa local government or sa DSWD o sa mga government official na bibili sa kanila para tumulong sa calamity.
Villar explains that they removed NFA's authority after a Senate investigation found that NFA failed to increase rice supply from local production and lower its price in the market. Instead, she alleges that NFA was involved in corruption as traders were selling imported rice to the government agencies instead of local producers. Villar explains that her law was not based on personal observation but on the findings of the Philippine Institute of Development Studies. The senator also criticizes those who criticize the RTL without understanding the law itself.
Hindi nila alam yung problem ng rice farmer. This rice tariffication law and rice competitiveness enhancement fund was based on a study by the Philippine Institute of Development Study. It's not my theory.
For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this is Valdemir de Gracia, SMNI News.
The UAE and the Philippines will start the first round of negotiations for a historic free trade agreement next week. Greta Omori has the details.
Philippine officials will fly to the Emirates in the next few days to start talks for a Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or CEPA, with their Emirati counterparts. Philippines Department of Trade Undersecretary Alan Hepty revealed that the first round of negotiations for the CEPA will take place in Dubai from May 6 to 8. Hepty, who served as the former Assistant Secretary of International Trade at DTI, was the one who announced the signing of the CEPA between the UAE and the Philippines in March 2022.
A comprehensive trade agreement with the UAE is seen to benefit the Philippines with greater market access for goods and services, enhance investment laws, and ensure more opportunities for economic and technical cooperation.
Both countries aim to complete negotiations on the free trade agreement before the end of 2024, in time for the 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties between the Philippines and the UAE. The UAE is the Philippines' 17th largest trading partner and its top export market in the Gulf region. Two-way trade between the UAE and the Philippines reached $1.9 billion in 2023. The CEPA is the Philippines' first free trade agreement in the Middle East, which the DTI considers a milestone for the country. Reporting from Dubai, I'm Gratero Omar, your Global Citizen Correspondent for SMNI News Channel.
The Prime Minister of Japan said he would not step down or replace executives after his political party's major defeat during a lower house by-election this past weekend. Ria Saito reports.
Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said he has no plans to resign but intends to regain the people's trust after his ruling Liberal Democratic Party or LDP lost 3 seats in parliament on April 28th. Last weekend's by-election loss is considered punishment by voters for the ruling party's corruption scandal that erupted last year. Dozens of lawmakers in Kishida's Liberal Democratic Party were accused of pocketing profits from ticket sales to political events by falsifying accounting reports. The scandal caused a heavy blow not only to the ruling political party's image but also weakened the Prime Minister's popularity. Instead of stepping down or replacing party executives, Kishida said he would rather push for anti-corruption measures and political reforms. The main opposition Constitutional Democratic Party of Japan clinched all 3 seats previously held by Kishida's governing party. His party only managed to secure 1 conservative stronghold in Shimane during the by-elections held this past Sunday. It can be remembered that Kishida traveled to New York for a meeting with U.S. President Joe Biden earlier this month, where both sides pledged to strengthen economic and military ties, a move that resulted in citizens protesting back home. As Japan strengthened ties with Washington, efforts to improve Japan-China relations were stalled despite a bilateral summit held in November last year. Kishida started his 6-day trip to France, Brazil, and Paraguay on Wednesday, which coincides with Japan's Golden Week holiday period. Reporting from Tokyo, Japan, I'm Ria Saito, your Global Citizen Correspondent for God and our beloved country, the Philippines.
In other news, Solomon Islands has finally chosen its new Prime Minister 2 weeks after a high-stakes election closely monitored by Australia, China, and the United States. Trisha Molina has the story.
Former Foreign Minister and career diplomat Jeremiah Manelli was elected as the 13th Prime Minister of the Solomon Islands. Manelli was the foreign minister when former Prime Minister Manasseh Sogavari switched allegiance from Taiwan to China in 2018. The new Prime Minister rose to power after Sogavari announced earlier this week that he would no longer extend his term, citing media abuse that affected his family. He endorsed Manelli to replace him as the new prime ministerial candidate. Sogavari and Manelli came from the same political party and are both friendly towards China. 31 of 50 newly elected lawmakers voted for Manelli in a secret ballot on Thursday. Reporting, this has been Trisha Molina, SM9 News.
When we come back, an international and human rights lawyer publicly withdraws his support to PBBM, saying that the democracy of the Philippines is eroding under the Marcos administration. And a geopolitical analyst suggested that the water cannon incident in the South China Sea could be a tactic used to divert the public's attention from the leaked PDEA documents linking PBBM to illegal drugs. We'll delve into this issue later on. Newsline World will be back after the break.
Magandang umaga Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Maayong buntag mga kapartner. Magandang araw sa buong mundo.
Magandang araw Pilipinas. Ito ang Pulso ng Bayan.
Hihimayin ang mga pangunahing issue sa ating bayan. Susuriin ang mga kinakailangang malaman ng taong bayan. Aalamin ang pulso ng bawat Pilipino sa mga pangyayari sa ating lipunan. Pulso ng Bayan, alas 7 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga, tuwing Lunes hanggang Biyernes. Kasama ang spokes ng Bayan, Attorney Harry Roque, Admar Vilando at Jade Calabroso. Dito lang sa SMNI. Problema nyo, itawag kay Panelo. Ikaw ba'y may suliranin na may kinalaman sa mga ahensya ng ating pamahalaan? Inihahandog ng SMNI ang programang makakapiling ninyo sa araw-araw na maaring ninyong maging daingan. Tampok ang dating Chief Legal Counsel ng nakaraang Pangulo, ang veteranong abogado na si Attorney Salvador Sal Panelo.
Bishops.
Tulong at payo tagapamagitan sa ating mga lingkod bayan. Problema nyo, itawag kay Panelo. Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 9 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga. Dito lamang sa SMNI. Ang totoong boses ng bayan.
Welcome to SMNI. You're watching Business and Politics. I am Dante Klinkang.
Today's world can be described by the acronym VUCA, which stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And yet, being immobilized by fear is not an option. How will captains of industry navigate the course ahead? And what policy assistance will they get from the leaders in government? Watch SMNI as it tackles these and other important questions of the day. On Business and Politics, hosted by Dante Klinkang II, Chairman and CEO of the Manila Times. New episodes featuring corporate and political leaders air every Saturday. Prime time at 7 p.m. Only here on SMNI. Truth that matters.
back for more news. Amidst growing concerns over the erosion of democracy in the Philippines and the increasing tensions in the West Philippine Sea, Filipinos are withdrawing their support for the Marcos administration, including an international lawyer. Carlo de la Peña files this report.
The shift from his promised independent foreign policy, allegations of involvement in illegal drugs, and alleged suppression of freedom of expression in the country, these are just some of the reasons cited by a Filipino international and human rights lawyer based in the United States for withdrawing his support for President Bongbong Marcos. He used to be a solid unit team supporter, but due to what he perceives as a change in direction by the president, particularly in foreign policy, he is now disappointed and calling for a return to the friend to all and enemy to none foreign policy.
Nakita ko yung matinding 360 degrees na pagbabago, lalong-lalo na sa usapin ng foreign policy ng Pilipinas. Kahit na nung unang bisita niya rito sa Amerika ay matibay at maliwanag yung kanyang pronouncement that we are friends to all and enemies to none. No? Pero nung pabalik-balik na siya ay makikita natin yung unti-unting pagbabago.
He also noted that there may be pressure on the president due to the current disputes in the South China Sea, although he cannot say whether this is related to his case in America regarding the alleged ill-gotten wealth of his family.
Merong malinaw na pressure. May malinaw na external pressure. So, ikakawin ko yan doon sa usapin ng South China Sea at West Philippine Sea, no? Whether may mga personal dealings yan or secret dealings in exchange of that, ang mahalagang bantayan natin is yung pambansang soberenya.
However, he believes that the administration should prioritize addressing the country's internal problems.
Imbis na mag-focus tayo sa food security, mag-focus tayo sa mga problemang internal, mag-focus tayo sa mga tinatawag nating trabaho ng mamamayan at infrastructure natin, ay lumalabas tayo na wala naman tayong kakayahan.
Meanwhile, Valera pointed out that the recent cancellation of the planned Maisog rally in Bustos, Bulacan is a clear indication of the country's democracy being undermined.
Yung pagkitil at pagkitid ng demokratikong espasyo ay indikasyon yan ng authoritarianism. No?
Claro.
Hindi yan normal sa isang bansang demokrasya. Lalong-lalo na sa pagrespeto ng saligang batas tungkol sa malayang pananalita at sa isang matahimik na pagtitipon.
On the controversial inclusion of the president's name in the PDEA document, allegedly proving his use of illegal drugs, he called for President Bongbong Marcos to undergo voluntary drug testing.
Nananawagan tayo, kung ayaw niya ng voluntary testing doon sa 5 sinabi ko, ay nandiyan ang judicial. No? Sa judiciary ay pwede rin siyang i-compel kung merong tinatawag nating seryosong aligasyon at ebidensya. No? Kasi nakataya ang hinaharap ng sambayan ng Pilipino, nakataya ang integridad ng ating bansa, at nakataya, of course, ang respeto sa batas ng Pilipinas.
He also emphasized that it is the right of Filipinos to know and resolve the nation's concerns. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
A former presidential political advisor believes there is a medium that could rapidly ignite another people power amid the growing discontent among Filipinos. Here's MJ Mondihar with the report.
Alam mo, it took so many years for his father to be ousted from power. Napaka-pasensyoso ng Pilipino. Pero ngayon, because of social media, because of technology, napapabilis. And he might succumb.
That's the warning from Attorney Jing Paras concerning the Marcos administration in relation to the current events in the Philippines. Paras, a former political advisor to former President Rodrigo Duterte, believes that the prediction made by the former president regarding President Bongbong Marcos Jr. might come true.
Sabi ni Pangulong Duterte, baka susunod ka doon sa tatay mo na was driven away to Hawaii.
During his time in politics, Paras claims to have only seen this level of discontent among the public now. He says This is evident from the comments of netizens on social media, which quickly go viral. He notes that this is far from the time of former President Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr., when there was no internet and information spread slowly, causing Filipinos to endure for a long time. One of the current pressing questions about Marcos Jr. is whether he used illegal drugs, especially with documents circulating in social media suggesting he was targeted in an anti-drug operation.
So, ang point ko lang is to save this nation, Mr. President, kasi nagpipilit kang tumakbong presidente, pinaunlakan ka ng taong bayan, is magpa-drug test po kayo.
Paras also claims there is a significant number of Filipinos who oppose Marcos Jr.'s strong alignment with the United States. He alleges that the Philippines is being used in a proxy war between the U.S. and China over territorial disputes in the South China Sea. Meanwhile, Paras, a former political advisor to the Duterte administration, sees the former president as having a trump card against Jr., especially since Duterte was first to mention that the current president might be under the influence of illegal drugs.
President Duterte is not a pushover. President Duterte, naghahanap ng proper timing yan. Sabi nga niya, nung mga hindi pa hinog.
There are now consecutive Maisog rallies in various parts of the country. In these occasions, Duterte expresses his opposition to the policies of the current administration, especially concerning the issue of charter change or chacha under the controversial People's Initiative. Duterte claims that the real intention here is term extension, not amending the economic provisions of the Constitution.
Pero siya mismo nakukumbinsi na kasi lumalabas na siya. Lumalabas na siya. Siya nga nagsabi na bangag ito si Marcos Jr.
If there's no clear response to the public's questions, Paras believes that the Filipinos will surely stand up because the power of those in government comes from the people, and the power to revoke it also lies with the Filipino people.
This might catch fire in the soonest possible time. Iyon ang magiging problema with Duterte as the rallying point, lalong mapapabilis yung if it happened to Erap, it almost happened to GMA. It happened to Ferdinand Marcos Sr.
For Gunvable of Philippines, I'm Jem Ondihar, SM9 News.
The issue of the so-called gentleman's agreement during the Duterte administration isn't over yet. Now, certain individuals are pushing for a congressional probe against former President Duterte's foreign policy. But this move raised questions from a political strategist who wonders what is the true intention behind this effort. Vala Divina Gracia will tell us more.
The House of Representatives plans to investigate the so-called gentleman's agreement between former President Rodrigo Duterte and Chinese President Xi Jinping. This inquiry is connected to the rising tensions between the Philippines and China due to the disputed waters in the West Philippine Sea, or WPS. However, the said investigation, according to political strategist Professor Malu Tikia, could have repercussions for future presidents of the country.
Yung resolution na yun hindi nararapat Kasi it sets a bad precedent dahil ang architect ng foreign policy ay ang Pangulo. Hindi lang si Duterte ito previous and succeeding. So ang gusto ba natin pagkatapos ng term ni Pangulong Marcos, uusigin rin siya sa lahat ng foreign policy decisions.
Professor Tikia is questioning the intent and underlying purpose of the investigation.
Ano yung in aid of legislation? Gagawa tayo ng Republic Act on Foreign Policy? Natatalian natin ang kamay ng susunod na Pangulo?
House Resolution number 1684 by Congressman Jefferson Konghun is also criticized as it appears to have a biased judgment. Based on the timeline of the conflicts in the disputed territory, it all started during the administration of former President Noynoy Aquino. Former President Duterte had earlier asserted that there was no gentleman's agreement during his administration.
The only thing I remember was that status quo. That's the word, na walang galawan. No movement, no armed patrols there, as is where is, para walang magkagulo. Hindi tayo magkagulo. Yun ang naalaala ko. Wala akong I do not. There's a new word. I do not even know the Ayunan shore.
For Professor Tiquia, politics remains the root of all the accusations against Duterte regarding tensions in the West Philippine Sea.
Ito, tinatawag ko, this early, is all about politics. You hit former President Duterte, you hit the Vice President. You hit former President Duterte on China, you establish what they wanted to frame as the Duterte's being for China. And I think that is very unfair.
Instead of focusing the investigation on former President Duterte, the political strategist suggests that it would be better if lawmakers invited former officials of the Aquino administration involved in the WPS issue to clarify the matter. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, this is Valdivina Gracia. SMNI News.
In other news, the son of a Spanish movie star couple accused of murdering another foreigner in Thailand was questioned and asked again to testify at a local court. Anissa de Guzman reports. The lawyer representing the family of a Colombian surgeon who was allegedly murdered by the son of a famous Spanish actor in Thailand expressed hope that Thai prosecutors will be fair and deliver justice after the accused made another testimony this week. Daniel Sancho Bronchalo, a chef with a YouTube channel, was arrested in Thailand in August 2023 for the suspected murder and dismemberment of Colombian surgeon Edwin Arrieta Artiega. The rising star chef was arrested shortly after body parts were found stuffed in plastic bags at a landfill on the popular tourist island of Kopangan. The case has shaken one of the world's most popular tourist islands known for hosting full moon parties. Initial reports said Sancho initially confessed to the murder of Arrieta after a heated argument, which led him to dismember the victim's body and spread it at different locations on the island, according to the police sources. He was indicted in October over Arrieta's death and pleaded not guilty at a hearing in November. Besides premeditated murder, the Spanish national also faces charges for concealment of a body and destruction of documentation after the 44-year-old Colombian plastic surgeon's passport went missing. To date, Sancho had pleaded not guilty to both murder and the crime of destroying other people's documentation, but pleaded guilty to hiding the victim's body. The murder trial started in April at Cosamoy Provincial Court. In presenting his testimony, Sancho used English and Spanish to answer both the defense and plaintiff's questions on Wednesday, the 1st of May. The 29-year-old chef, the son of a locally famous Spanish actor Rodolfo Sancho and actress Silvia Bronchalo. His father visited him for the first time in September since his detainment. The murder charges concerning the famous Spanish actor's son made local and international headlines, putting their family under the spotlight. Thailand issues a death penalty sentence for a premeditated murder, though it is seldom applied against foreign nationals. The family of a Colombian surgeon said they will not seek the death penalty against Sancho, but would like to see justice served for their loved one. Reporting from Thailand, I'm Anissa de Guzman, your global citizen correspondent for God and our beloved country, the Philippines. Up next, on the water cannon incident in the South China Sea, an analyst suggested that the incident could have been staged to divert the public's attention from the PDEA leaks controversy linking PBBM to illegal drugs. And tech giant Microsoft is set to establish a new data center in Thailand. Newsline World will return.
kung tatanungin, kahit saang aspeto, gusto ko garantisado. Metikuloso akong tao, kaya gusto ko lahat maayos at sigurado. Lahat quality, yung hindi ako makukompromiso, pero sulit ang presyo. Ganyan ang clean fuel, kaya dito, panatag ang loob ko.
Magandang umaga po, sir. Full tank po.
Full tank. Kung gusto mo ng dekalidad na gasolina pero sulit ang halaga, mag-clean fuel ka.
Problema nyo, itawag kay Panelo. Ikaw ba'y may suliranin na may kinalaman sa mga ahensya ng ating pamahalaan? Inihahandog ng SMNI ang programang makakapiling ninyo sa araw-araw na maaring ninyong maging daingan. Tampok ang dating Chief Legal Counsel ng nakaraang Pangulo, ang veteranong abogado na si Attorney Salvador Sal Panelo.
Bishops.
Tulong at payo tagapamagitan sa ating mga lingkod bayan. Problema nyo, itawag kay Panelo. Lunes hanggang Biyernes alas 9 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga dito lamang sa SMNI. Ang totoong boses ng bayan.
Welcome to SMNI. You're watching Business and Politics. I'm Dante Klinkang.
Today's world can be described by the acronym VUCA, which stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And yet, being immobilized by fear is not an option. How will captains of industry navigate the course ahead? And what policy assistance will they get from the leaders in government? Watch SMNI as it tackles these and other important questions of the day. On Business and Politics, hosted by Dante Klinkang II, Chairman and CEO of the Manila Times. New episodes featuring corporate and political leaders air every Saturday. Prime time at 7 p.m. Only here on SMNI. Truth that matters.
Abangan ang Banateros tuwing Martes at Huwebes, live dito lang sa SMNI.
Yan ang Banateros, walang inuurungan. Pag tama palakpakan, pag mali ay babanatan. Yan ang Banateros.
A geopolitical analyst suggested that the recent water cannoning incident in the South China Sea might have been staged to divert attention from the controversy of PDBM leaks. Angel Pastor reports.
isa pong political analyst, Prof.
Professor Ana Malindugoy, a geopolitical analyst, does not dismiss the possibility that the recent water cannon incident in the South China Sea is being sensationalized to overshadow the Senate investigation on the PDEA leaks. However, according to Malindugoy, despite this development, the issue of the PDEA leaks, which involves the name of the current Philippine president, continues to be a hot topic on social media.
Pwedeng maging coincidence yan, pwede rin dyan talagang stage. Dalawa yan ang possibility. Kasi parang ang timing, no? Ang timing kasi dyan is parang parang mag-iisip ka, bakit ganon? Kasi kung coincidence yan, okay, fine. Pero kung hindi, ang tanong kasi dyan, ano ba ang purpose to cover, parang matabunan ng issue ng PDEA leaks na ang nasasangkot ay ang ating Pangulong BBM. So may ganun siguro na perception ng ibang mga tao. Pero ang tanong kasi, hindi naman natabunan ang PDEA leaks eh. Actually, to be very frank, nung tinitignan ko ang social media at ibang platform, may mga nag-discuss about yung water cannon na nangyari sa Ayungin Shoal ng Chinese Coast Guard against our vessels, pero ang lumulutang talaga sa social media sa pag-observe, observation ko lang, is yung PDEA leaks talaga. Yun talagang pinag-uusapan ngayon.
Moreover, Malindugoy said that Filipinos abroad are also awaiting the real answers to this issue because they felt that they were lacking in the recent Senate hearing.
I think ang mga tao, kahit na yung mga nasa ibang bansa, are they waiting for the next hearing kung ano ba talaga. Kasi nga, totoo din, nakulangan din kasi ang mga nanood nung hearing ni Senator Bato sa first hearing niya. Parang there are a lot of things to be asked and there are a lot of things to be, yung parang i-ano mo talaga, didiinan mo ng tanong at para lumabas talaga yung totoo na hindi nagawa ni Senator Bato.
As one of those who want to know the truth, she hopes that Senator Bato will be more prepared for the next Senate hearing on the PDEA leaks scheduled for May 7.
Which is siguro sa susunod na hearing, feeling ko naman, mapapaghandaan ni Senator Bato at maa-ask niya yung right questions. Kasi sa mga investigation kasi, what is important really is to ask the right questions, especially dun sa mga resource speaker or resource person mo. Hindi masyado atang pagtuunan ng pansin ni Senator Bato na talagang, ask isa-isa yung mga nandun. So we're looking, even I'm looking forward talaga sa next hearing na matignan natin kung ano ba talaga ang totoo dito. Kasi ako naniniwala na yung document na presented Mr. Jonathan Morales is not an AI generated. Kasi nakita ko na yan sa social media at saka sa blog ni Maharlika. At kung titignan mo, mayroon siya doon yung puncher, yung parang kinuha ka sa isang folder na nakalagay ka, na may punch yung paper. Tapos usually pina-file kasi yan with yung fastener na kapag isinerok mo siya, makikita doon na naka-fastener siya. Alam mo yun, nakita doon, yung palang makikita mo na hindi siya AI-generated. Kasi kung AI-generated siya, walang ganon.
For God and my beloved Philippines, Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
An anti-crime group is skeptical whether the Marcos administration would succeed in its anti-illegal drugs campaign, particularly due to the allegations linking the president to illegal drug use. Almar Fusuelo has the details.
The Senate now has initiated an investigation into the alleged involvement of President Bongbong Marcos in illegal drugs activities. Former PDEA agent Jonathan Morales boldly revealed the information to the public provided by a confidential informant regarding the reported consumption of a white powder substance by an individual using the alias Bonget alongside actress Maricel Soriano in a condominium unit in Rockville, Makati City. This development has raised concerns within the Anti-Crime and Community Emergency and Response Team, or AZERD, as they contend that the country's president is directly implicated in the matter.
Nakakabahala yun. Isang malaking pagkabahala sa amin na dapat ito ay mabigyan ng tuldok, no, at ma-clear. Dahil hindi siya pwedeng mamuno kung hindi mabigyan ng clearance yung kanyang pangalan. Dahil hindi niya pwedeng labanan, sugpuin. Ang isang malaking problemang ito sa ating bansa, ang droga, kung siya mismo ay naku-question yung kanyang integridad patungkol dito.
Edwin Manite, Vice President of Operations for the AZERD Group, argues that this assertion is supported by the ongoing increase in reported crimes throughout the country.
Regarding dun sa question mo kung tumataas ang crime index, tumataas no, sa ground. Kami na nandito sa ground, nasa grassroots, nararamdaman namin na tumataas ang crime. At lalo na ang drugs, kapag ikaw ay naglakad ngayon ng gabi, makikita mo na lantaran ang bilihan ng mga droga.
Thus, the group cannot help but compare the current administration to the time of former President Rodrigo Duterte.
Sa comparison po, talagang ang ating Pangulo dati talagang 101% ang kanyang war on drugs. At wala siyang sinisino, wala siyang tinatangi doon sa kanyang polisiya na sugpuin ang malaking problemang ito sa ating lipunan.
The group also does not see the Marcos administration taking the issue of illegal drugs seriously.
Wala ko nakikitang serious. I'm sorry to say this, I'm sorry to say, pero wala ko na. Unang-una doon na lang sa pagkakahuli nila doon sa sinasabi nilang napakalaking bulto ng drugs doon sa Alitagtag, Batangas. Maraming question po doon.
Because of this, ASERT is challenging President Marcos to undergo a drug test.
Sa tingin ko, ang pinakamagandang gawin ng ating Pangulo dito ay magkaroon ng isang honest to goodness na drug test sa kanya. At nang sa gayon maalis yung pagdududa ng mga tao.
The group is also advocating for mandatory drug testing for all individuals seeking to run for election.
Yes, definitely. Actually, yan dapat ang isa sa mga siguro kung kailangan baguhin yung ating saligang batas. Kailangan idagdag itong requirement na ito sa lahat ng mga papasok sa public service, sa mga kandidato, mula sa pinakamataas hanggang sa pinakamababang posisyon ng gobyerno. Kailangan lahat sila ay mag-submit ng honest drug test.
The Anti-Crime and Community Emergency and Response Team, or ASERT, was formed in 2016 alongside the presidential campaign of then Davao City Mayor Rodrigo Duterte. For God and my beloved Philippines, Almar Forsuelo, SMNI News.
In other news, technology giant Microsoft plans to build a regional data center in Thailand and invest in the country's artificial intelligence infrastructure. Chatmugapa Samaigasan has the story.
Microsoft wants to develop Thailand's AI potential by providing the necessary skills and opportunities to support the nation's growing developer community.
Microsoft Chairman and CEO Satya Nadella announced an ambitious plan to establish a new regional data center in Thailand and emphasized the potential it could bring to the country and other parts of Southeast Asia during the company's AI Day event in Bangkok on Wednesday, May 1st.
Right here in the region, we think and we expect that this intelligence revolution or the AI revolution can add as much as $1 trillion, even in Thailand, double-digit growth of over $100+ billion can be driven because of the productivity curve that can be bent by AI. And so that's the potential that grounds us at Microsoft on our mission to empower every person and every organization in Thailand to achieve more.
Thai Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin was also in attendance. An estimated 2,000 developers, business and technology leaders participated in the event. Microsoft's first Archer data center in Thailand requires the technology giant to train 100,000 Thais in utilizing AI, especially in the tourism sector. Thailand was the second Southeast Asian country that Microsoft has set its eyes on after a recent commitment to invest $1.7 billion in Indonesia. Nadella said that Southeast Asia's brimming AI potential can unlock more than $1 trillion in economic value in the region. The Thai Prime Minister has courted tech firms like Microsoft in a hope to jumpstart Thailand's digital transformation as the Southeast Asian nation struggles to overcome public debt and an aging population. The initiative can help boost Thailand's technology sector and solidify its place in the region.
Microsoft recently announced an ambitious plan to equip 2.5 million people in Southeast Asia with AI skills by 2025. These ASEAN member states include Thailand, the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Vietnam. Reporting from Thailand, I'm Chatmungkom Pisamaigoson, your Global Citizens correspondent for SM9 News Channel.
To continue providing opportunities for Filipino students to finish their college education, the Budget Department has allocated more than 3 billion pesos for CHED's scholarship program. Kristel Guangco tells us more.
The Department of Budget and Management has approved the release of a Special Allotment Release Order or SARO amounting to a total of more than 3.7 billion pesos to the Commission on Higher Education or CHED. According to DBM Secretary Amina Pangandaman, the funds will be used for the implementation of CHED's Tulong Dunong program, which provides financial assistance to qualified students pursuing their college degrees. Pangandaman added that this scholarship program would greatly benefit many students, especially those who are financially challenged or simply cannot afford to attend college. More than 247,000 student grantees enrolled in CHED-recognized public and private higher education institutions will benefit from this budget. Its aim is to assist students with tertiary education expenses for the second semester of the academic year 2023 to 2024 and the first semester of academic year 2024 to 2025. The Tulong Dunong program is part of the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Subsidy. The DBM Chief approved the release of the SARO for this purpose on April 15th of this year. For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Kristel Guangco, SMNI News.
One of the most wanted criminals in Europe was jailed for hacking databases of the largest psychotherapy company in Finland and using the confidential information to blackmail and extort money from thousands of patients. Trisha Molina reports.
26-year-old Julius Kivimaki was sentenced to 6 years and 3 months for hacking thousands of sensitive patient records and seeking a ransom from some patients over confidential data. The Finnish hacker targeted Vastamo, the biggest and leading provider of psychotherapy services in Finland. He blackmailed about 33,000 people after stealing the records, with at least one suicide linked to the case. The incident in 2020 caused public outrage, with as many as 24,000 people filing criminal complaints with the police, and the well-known psychotherapy company forced to shut down. A local district court also found the Finnish hacker guilty of aggravated data breach, in which he committed nearly 21,000 aggravated blackmail attempts and more than 9,200 aggravated disseminations of information infringing private life, among other things. Kivimaki, who was living under a false identity in France, was arrested by the French police in February 2023 and deported to Finland. His trial started in October last year and ended in April. It was considered the largest crime in Finland's history due to the number of victims involved. Kivimaki was a celebrity in the hacking world who was a former member of the international hacking group Lizard Squad. Some of his infamous exploits involved hacking Tesla and Elon Musk's Twitter accounts, as well as getting convicted on more than 50,000 counts of computer crimes when he was still a teenager. Reporting, this has been Trisha Molina, SMNI News.
Meanwhile, the head of the United Nations nuclear watchdog will visit Iran to check on its nuclear program. Melchizedek Cadiz will tell us more.
Rafael Mariano Grossi, the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency or IAEA, will embark in a 2-day visit to Iran amid concerns of uranium enrichment in the Islamic Republic. Grossi will visit Iran on May 6th and 7th. In December of last year, the IAEA announced Iran already has enough uranium enriched to up to 60%, while enriching it further to 90% weapons-grade level is enough to create 3 atomic bombs. The UN agency slammed Iran's decision to ban several inspectors from checking potential nuclear sites in the country by removing their accreditation in September 2023.
You know, the way to dispel any doubts is to allow the IAEA to inspect. If they allow us to work, then there will be confidence. Otherwise, it will be very complicated.
Iran described the move as retaliation for political abuses by the United States, Britain, France, and Germany, and reiterated that the withdrawal of accreditation was within its rights. It was in 2018 when former US President Donald Trump officially declared the country's withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear agreement with Iran, which he described as giant fiction. There have been several reports of Iran resuming its uranium enrichment activities since then.
At the heart of the Iran deal was a giant fiction that a murderous regime desired only a peaceful nuclear energy program. Therefore, I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. We will not allow a regime that chants death to America to gain access to the most deadly weapons on earth.
Iran denied any plans to create nuclear weapons and maintain its atomic program is purely for civilian purposes. Grossi's visit will coincide with a nuclear energy conference to be held in the city of Isfahan in central Iran. Reporting from Kuwait, I am Melchizedek Cadiz, your global citizen correspondent for God and for our beloved country, the Philippines.
In other news, the recruitment efforts of the communist terrorist group CPP-NPA-NDF among the youth persist, particularly within educational institutions, as highlighted by an official from the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency. The group frequently targets young individuals with writing and communication skills. Kristel Guangco reports.
Thousands of individuals have been victims of intimidation, theft, and killings by CPP-NPA-NDF, which they have been doing for over 50 years. Until now, they continue to sow chaos and violence in various parts of the Philippines. Deputy Director General for Special Concerns Abelardo Villacorta of the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency, or NICA, said the threat from this terrorist group in the country, particularly their recruitment of youth, persists. Their primary targets are students.
At kawawa sila, yung mga pangarap nila, ambisyon nila ay nasisira because they are being deceived to join the movement and become members of the NPA, namamatay sila, pati magulang.
Villacorta identified the College Editors Guild as very much involved in recruitment activities in universities. Also included is the League of Filipino Students, or LFS, responsible for recruiting students in colleges and universities.
At yung magagaling sa oration, yung magagaling in writing, journalism, ito yung kinukuha nila because of the propaganda activities ng CPP-NPA. Sila yung mga nagsasalita pag may mga rallies, may protest dyan sa kalsada. Sila yung magagaling yon. They are the recruits ng CPP-NPA through the League of Filipino Students.
Once persuaded by these groups, the recruits undergo seminars and trainings until they become underground members of the Kabataang Makabayan. Villacorta said this is the underground organization of the Communist Party of the Philippines and will be the way for them to join the New People's Army, or NPA.
But remember, they are under the umbrella of the National Democratic Front. The National Democratic Front, na nandyan lahat, LFS, Gabriela, KMU, everything. Yung nakikita natin na like
yung mga nasa rally.
Yeah, mga nasa rally.
In relation to this, Villacorta said that the NICA's operations are active, especially under the NTF-LCAC. Among the 12 clusters under the NTF-LCAC, NICA leads a cluster called Situational Awareness and Knowledge Management. This is an information campaign not only for the government but also for the private sector and all community members, with the aim to convey the true situation regarding the lies and deceptions of the communist terrorist groups. Aside from this, many parents are also supporting NICA, including the Yakap ng Magulang, a group that actively helps the agency. NICA also supports its legal cluster by sharing information with investigators. Because of this, many cases have been filed through the NTF-LCAC and the Department of Justice.
There are so many pending investigations right now. And this is also the reason why some of the members of the Communist Party of the Philippines, the NPA, are being designated as terrorist group or terrorist individual because of the data, because of the information that we have at hand.
Despite this, Villacorta explained why these groups remain very active and are still freely able to recruit students for the CPP-NPA-NDF.
Ang naging issue kasi dito, Republic Act 1700, anti-subversion law was scrapped. So naging mas lalong legal sila. Nawala na yon. Na dati ay ito ay illegal yung pag-join sa mga ganyang organization. So libre sila ngayon and continuous ang kanilang recruitment.
For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Kristel Guangco, SMNI News.
And before we end, we will be inspired with the words of the Sun. Discipline and sacrifice are the ingredients to success. And that's all for this edition. For more news updates, you may visit smnewschannel.com or follow us on our official social media accounts on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Kristel Guangco, and this is Newsline World.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
Subscribe to SMNI News Channel and turn on the notification bell to keep you up to date. Also visit our official social media accounts and join our community on Viber and Telegram.